Do you think the Chugwater Formation was named after the town of Chugwater? Because I'm not seeing any of that like bright red stuff here that is the Chugwater Formation. I might have to look that up now. This is really awkward because not only is there construction, so everybody's driving by really slow, but it also means the construction workers are watching me do this, so here we go. What if I told you that driving through Wyoming isn't actually boring? Because you're driving through 300 million years of Earth's history. I know that's pretty controversial to start the video with. Every mile marker on I-25 between Sheridan and Cheyenne tells a story of ancient seas, massive coal swamps, and one of the biggest political scandals in American history, all written in the rocks beneath your wheels. Today, I'm going to show you how to read the landscape like a geologist in the hopes that you'll never see this drive the same way again. Which also hopefully means that you'll never be bored on it again too. Welcome back to Roadside Geology. I'm Jess, a geologist, and today we're exploring a brand new geological road trip. Interstate 25 from Sheridan to Cheyenne. Okay, people pulled up and I got embarrassed, so we're back in the car now. So I drive to Denver pretty frequently, but this is the first time that I've taken this specific route, so I am super excited to get to explore it together. Today we are using the Roadside Geology of Wyoming by David Lageson and Darwin Spearing. This is part of the fantastic series by the Geological Society of America. They recently took it over, and it's one of my favorite book series, so I highly recommend checking it out for whatever state you're in. Also, GSA, if you want to partner up on some of these videos, you know where to find me. Alright, but for real, today we will cover 350 miles and 300 million years in this road trip. Whether you're planning a road trip or just curious about the stories hidden in plain sight, let's dig into Wyoming's geological secrets. Remember to wear your seatbelts, and let's go. I also am like a little bit sick today, so bear with me. I'm going to try and clean up the audio and stuff as much as I can, but I'm a little bit sick and a little bit stuffed up, so fair warning. Alright, so today we are starting our journey in Sheridan, Wyoming, which actually is the lowest point in Wyoming at 3,745 feet. But if you look to the west, they're kind of hard to see, but the Bighorn Mountains are actually over in this direction. They rise over 9,000 feet above us. The summit of Cloud Peak, the highest peak in the Bighorns, is at 13,171 feet. Now, Sheridan isn't technically on I-25, it's I-90, but I won't tell if you won't. It just seemed like the logical place to start our journey here. Now, as we hop back on the interstate and continue heading south, we are going to discover something really incredible. Between Sheridan and Buffalo, we're going to be driving over some of the thickest coal seams on Earth. So picture the Florida Everglades. Vast, steamy swampland stretching as far as you can see. Now imagine that lasting not for decades, but for millions of years. If you can picture that, then you'll start to understand how this place used to look and how these coal beds formed. The Lake de Smet coal seam stretches for over 15 miles, is 1 to 2 miles wide, and reaches 250 feet thick in some places.
Here's the amazing part, though. The swampy environment that produced this coal was created by the Laramide orogeny. That's the mountain building event that pushed up the Rockies about 70 million years ago. As the Bighorn Mountains rose up, they created a narrow basin or kind of a moat-like thing right next to them. This basin filled with that swampy water, and for millions of years, these dead plants piled up faster than they could decay. Eventually, all of that plant material got buried and compressed into the coal we see today. We've talked a lot about the Bighorns and the Laramide orogeny in our Bighorn Canyon video, so for more information on that, be sure to check that out. In addition to coal, though, you might see something else. If you look closely, you might see bright red rocks along the roadside. These are called clinker, and they form when coal seams catch fire, probably from lightning strikes, and slowly burn underground for years. The heat, we're talking over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, baked through the surrounding rocks into this kind of rough red slag. It's pretty cool, but it's also very useful. Have you ever wondered why the roads turn red when you get into Wyoming? It's because they quarry this clinker and use it to pave the highways.
Between Buffalo and Kaycee was supposedly the site of the mysterious Lost Cabin Mine. There are many versions of this story, but basically before the Civil War, a party of Swedes supposedly found a fantastic gold deposit somewhere in the Bighorn Mountains and built a cabin at the site. They were supposedly attacked by Native Americans and all but 2 were killed. These 2 made it to Fort Laramie with $7,000 in gold, reportedly mined in just 3 days. The Swedes were never heard from again, and the cabin was never found. Sure sounds a lot like our Lost Dutchman that we talked about in our Arizona video, so maybe we'll have to come find this one too. Okay, so I-25 passes through the Sellers Ranch oil field, just north of Kaycee. This field has produced over 5 million barrels of oil from the Pennsylvanian 10-sleeve sandstone since its discovery in 1960. As we head south and enter Kaycee, we're entering what locals call Outlaw country. The town of Kaycee was literally built around the brand Kaycee from the first homesteaders' cattle ranch. It's also the birthplace of rodeo champion and country singing sensation Chris Ledoux. You can find a park downtown named in his honor. But geologically, we're entering into Cretaceous territory. These yellow sandstone ridges, called hogbacks, are around 80 million years old. They're tilted up like books on a shelf, and each layer tells part of the story. Around the time that those coal swamps were forming up north, this area was covered by a warm, shallow sea. Think kind of like the Bahamas, but covering most of Wyoming. I have talked a lot about the Western Interior Seaway in many of our videos, so if you want to know more, be sure to check those out. 20 miles southwest of Kaycee is the famous Hole in the Wall, Butch Cassidy's favorite hideout. But the real treasure of this area wasn't gold. At Tisdale Mountain Road, the Tisdale Dome is outlined by resistant dark brown sandstone members of the Cretaceous Frontier Formation on the west side of the highway. The flanks of the dome have been dissected by streams to form several small distinctive canyons. This anticlinal structure has produced more than 6 million barrels of oil and some gas from upper Paleozoic and lower Mesozoic strata. So let's continue south from coal country into oil country. As we take a little detour off of I-25, we end up here in Midwest and Edgerton. These towns are home to the Salt Creek oil field, one of the world's classic oil fields. Oil here accumulated along the crest of a huge rock fold called an anticline, basically where layers of rock bend upward like an upside-down bowl. Millions of years ago, tiny sea creatures died and settled on the seafloor. Over time, they were buried and then cooked by heat and pressure, turning into oil. Since oil is lighter than water, it migrated upward through the rocks until it hit that bowl-shaped fold and got trapped. That's where we drill to get it out. The first oil well here was drilled in the fall of 1889, and the oil was sent to Pittsburgh for analysis, where it was initially pronounced unnatural because such light crude oil had never been found before. More wells were dug, and for 10 years, the oil sold for $10 per barrel and was used by the Union Pacific Railroad in its unrefined state as a lubricant. Transportation for this oil was a huge problem. It was hauled 50 miles to Casper by teams of 10 to 15 horses, each pulling a wagon with the equivalent of 45 barrels. That's almost 1,900 gallons per wagon. It wasn't until 20 years later that people realized that this wagon road passed over the crest of the Salt Creek Dome, where the real wealth of the oil was buried. In 1908, the first major well here was completed and ushered in Wyoming's first major oil boom. By 1985, the Salt Creek field alone had produced over 610 million barrels of oil and 711 billion cubic feet of gas. But with big oil can come big money. And with big money can come, well, wait until you hear about the political scandal that put Wyoming's oil on the map. So how exactly do oil pumps work? It's actually pretty simple. Let me show you. It's pretty much like drinking out of your water bottle. You have your straw and then the oil inside. So when you suck on a straw, you're lowering the pressure in your mouth. That change pulls the drink up through the straw into your mouth. That's because the higher pressure in the water bottle moves to where the pressure is lower. Oil pump jacks work pretty much the same way. It's kind of like a giant straw into the earth. But instead of pop or energy drinks, it's lifting oil from thousands of feet from underground. Inside the well, a rod moves up and down, kind of like a plunger, helping lift this oil through the surface. So yeah, it's basically like Mother Earth sharing her ancient pup through a really long straw. Here is where geology meets one of America's biggest political scandals. We are here at Teapot Dome, and trust me, this story has everything. The Teapot Dome got its name from a rock formation that literally looked like a teapot until lightning damaged the handle in 1962. But in 1922, this became the center of a scandal that nearly brought down a presidency. President Harding's Interior Secretary, Albert Fall, secretly leased government oil reserves to his buddies after taking a $100,000 bribe. When it came out, Fall went to prison, and Teapot Dome became synonymous with political corruption. So we can't actually get to like the Teapot Dome thing on Google Maps. Trust me, I tried. So now we're just gonna get back to on the interstate. What do you think? Does it look right? I do often wonder if people think I'm crazy when I'm like taking selfies with rocks on the side of the road. I don't know.
When going through Casper, if you have time, I definitely recommend checking out the Tate Geological Museum at Casper College for some cool rocks and more geological history of the area. I personally have never been, so if you do go visit, take photos and tag me in them so I can see and live vicariously through you because it looks really awesome.
So as we continue heading towards Cheyenne, we're climbing into the high plains, but we're also moving forward in geological time. All along this section of the route from Casper to Cheyenne, the mountains to the west are the Laramie Range, and they're the source of all of the sediments around us. Picture the eastern slope of the Colorado Rockies today, with rivers carrying mud and gravel onto the plains. That's exactly what was happening here for millions of years, building these high plains grain by grain. That's a lot of buffalo. Look at how cute the babies are. Hello, cutie. Hello, you're so cute. Hello. Hi. Bye, buffalo. They're so cute. Okay, before YouTube comes for me, yes, I know they are bison. They are not buffalo. I am aware. But buffalo is more fun to say. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, I think we go for a little walkabout now. As we take the most difficult. If you're already making this drive, it is well worth the detour to pull off on exit 151 for the Ayres Natural Bridge, Douglas's hidden gem. This is a 150-foot long stone bridge carved by a meandering stream undercutting both the upstream and downstream side of the resistant rock that makes up this bridge. It's just 5 miles off the interstate and perfect for a quick little rock walk on your road trip. This bridge developed during the post-glacial period of the Cenozoic, carving its way through the Pennsylvanian Casper Formation. The Casper, eastern facies of the Ten Sleep Formation, consists of fine to medium-grained, massive to thin-bedded, cross-bedded sandstones, calcareous sandstones, and limestones deposited in a coastal and marine environment. The red color comes from the iron mineral hematite. As we get back in the car and continue on our journey, the Laramie Power Station can be seen east of Wheatland. This 1.65 million kilowatt coal-fired electric generating plant serves over 2 million people in 8 states, from Montana to Iowa. The coal is shipped from mines near Gillette, completing the circle from ancient swamps to modern energy. As you come into Chugwater, you'll see some of the most picturesque buttes in Wyoming. The town got its name from a Native American hunting practice. They'd stampede buffalo over these cliffs into the water below, and it became known as the place where the buffalo chug. Chugwater was once the headquarters of the Swan Land and Cattle Company, one of the largest cattle outfits in the U.S. The company operated for 70 years, and the headquarters in town are now a historical landmark. If you look closely as you drive, you'll see these lighter colored rocks all around us. These rocks are much younger, only about 15 to 30 million years old. They're part of the Miocene Ogallala and Arikari, and the Lageson White River formations. That's a mouthful. All three of those layers are made up of light-colored tufaceous claystone and sedimentary layers. So tufaceous means that mixed in with river sediments here is volcanic ash that blew all the way here from eruptions in what is now Yellowstone and the Cascades. So imagine the ash from like Mount St. Helens area, but traveling 500 miles and mixing with mud for millions of years. The Ogallala Formation is named after a band of Sioux Indians. It covers a large area and it gathers rainfall and snowmelt in this area and carries it underground to the east to become a major groundwater aquifer beneath the Great Plains. So the watering well in like Kansas might have started as snow in these Wyoming mountains. I am struggling. I might need a nap. I feel like my cold is getting worse as the video goes, and I feel like my nose is getting redder as the video goes.
Cheyenne is the capital of Wyoming and began in 1867 as a camp for the railroad, and it is also the stopping point for this roadside geology adventure.
So there you have it, 350 miles and 300 million years of Wyoming's geological story. From coal swamps that looked like the Florida Everglades, to ancient seas that were like the modern Bahamas, to oil fields that sparked political scandals, to volcanic ash that traveled hundreds of miles on ancient winds. The next time that you're driving I-25 through Wyoming, remember, you're not just covering distance, you're traveling through deep time. Every mile marker is a chapter in Earth's autobiography. I would love to hear from you. Have you driven this route? What geological features caught your eye in this video? And most importantly, what road trip do you think we should cover next? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe for more adventures from the Rock Record. Until I see you next time, keep exploring the stories written in stone. Bonus content. I've never been to a Buc-ee's before, and this is insane. Oh, but I need gas. Okay, gas first, and then we'll go inside. I will say, this is along the route, but it's not like in Wyoming. So if you're on your way to Denver, it's on your way. All right, I will brave the rain and go inside. Just for you. I am overwhelmed already. It's insane in here. I just spent $50 at a gas station. So if you're still watching, I don't know why, welcome to the bonus content. This isn't anywhere on the route of the roadside geology that we were talking about, but it is on the way to Denver. So here's an extra stop if you're coming down through I-25 to Denver. So I Googled. And according to the Google, you have to try three things at Buc-ee's. So you have to try beaver nuggets. And I got 2 of these because I was supposed to take one home. The brisket sandwich. I just got the chopped brisket sandwich. I didn't get the double XL whatever because I'm still hoping to have In-N-Out for dinner tonight. And the banana pudding. And I'm a sucker for banana pudding, so we'll see if this lives up to the hype. I also got some other stuff. Like Kleenexes, because this cold is killing me. Beaver nuggets first. Ugh. I actually don't know what these are. They smell caramely. Are they like sweet Cheetos? They remind me of, shoot, what are those? Pops? Are Pops still a thing? They remind me of, like, bigger Pops. And I was a big fan of Pop cereal, so. Honestly, I get the hype. I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10. Brisket, I have high hopes for. $9 for a brisket sandwich. Plus tax. And this is supposed to be like started in Texas. So I have high hopes for this. Especially since everything else was so reasonably priced in there. $9 for a brisket sandwich. Better live up to the hype. I will say I chose one that's been like sitting, which I think is an amateur move. I think like everybody else was waiting for them, but whatever. Honestly, pretty good. I like the chop size, which I know is a weird thing, but I have problems with my teeth. So, like, the chop size is really nice. It's not too big that's, like, getting in my teeth. It's not, like, spicy, but it has enough barbecue sauce, but, like, it's not soaked all the way through, even though it's been sitting. I'm gonna give it, like, an 8 out of 10. It's not the best brisket I've ever had, but for gas station brisket, in case you're wondering, I did get barbecue sauce on my white sun shirt, so that's great. As far as big gas stations go, I'm used to stopping at Terrible's when I'm in the area. So I'm not like a stranger to big gas stations. But I will say Buc-ee's as a brand is like a cult. Like when I saw the sign 200 plus miles ago, I'm like, oh, I need to stop at Buc-ee's because I've never been. I'm curious about it. All of the Buc-ee's branded stuff is amazing. And like I could have gotten 6 different swimsuits with Buc-ee on them. Instead, I opted for Beaver Nuggets socks. But it's kind of like a cult. And so far it's living up to the hype. But here's the true test, the banana pudding. I will say, when I home make banana pudding, I make the Magnolia banana pudding from New York. This one does not quite compare to it. I had high hopes with it being listed on the favorites. It's got okay flavor. It's got great texture. But honestly, it's just kind of a letdown. I'm going to give it like a 4.5 maybe. I'm still going to eat the whole thing. So yeah, that's it for the bonus content. If you're still watching, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what gas station I should review next. So yeah, as always, until next time, keep exploring the stories written in stone. Or in your food, I guess.